I'm seeing posts about that nearly 7 foot tall volleyball player, and she's huge and beautiful. It reminded me that, a long time ago, I grew up in the land of Nordic models where every woman was taller than me, especially in middle school and high school before my growth spurt when I was short. It never bothered me. I loved the tall girls. But what about you? What is in fashion today? Will guys date tall girls? Or do you prefer a height proportionate to your own? A few have asked. The name in question is Anna Smrek. Story 1. I am 5 feet 4 inches tall, so I am short for a man. I would gladly date a tall woman any day of the week. She loves me and bends down to kiss me? Sign me up. Story 2. I think I definitely have a preference for taller girls, but they do not have the same preference for me. If it were an option, it would not even be a question. Story 3. I am 5 feet 7 inches tall and would not hesitate. One of the most heartwarming things I have ever seen was a young couple in line for a show. The woman was a good, solid head taller than the man, and they looked blissfully in love. Story 4. I do not mind. I assume women taller than me want someone taller than themselves, as that is usually the case. Story 5. I do not personally care, nor do I imagine most men do. If I am attracted to you, then sure, and if I am not, then no. It is that simple. Being tall does not automatically mean you are unattractive, at least by my personal standards. Story 6. I slightly prefer taller women, but it is not that important to me. Taller, shorter, or the same height all have nice qualities. Story 7. 6 feet tall guy here. For me, if she is slightly taller than me, say 6 feet 2 inches, it is fine. But if she is around 6 feet 6 inches, then that is honestly a little too tall for my tastes. I find people who are over around 6 feet 3 inches to be kind of too tall. It unnerves me a bit. Granted, all of those people were men. The tallest woman I remember seeing was roughly 6 feet 1 inch. I am generally less physically comfortable with men than I am with women, so maybe seeing a 6 feet 4 inches tall woman in real life would change my mind. I do definitely have a preference for women shorter than me though, like maybe 5 feet 8 inches or so. Story 8. For me, it is a mindset issue. Knowing that girls usually like guys taller than them, I do not even try. It might work with effort, but the uphill battle looks too steep. It is already a lot of effort with girls in general, but even more so with girls taller than me. If I get a yes to a first date, I would be suspicious that it is a prank or that she is not serious about it. Maybe even if she is serious, what if she meets a guy who is taller and interested in her? I would be dropped pretty quickly. This happens in general as well, regardless of the girl's height. The aesthetics and social stigma do not really matter to me, but how do I know if it matters to her? Maybe not now, but possibly eventually. Story 9. Not really. I would not expect it to last unless the height difference is negligible. Most taller women I know cannot handle a man being shorter than them. I have had 2 of them get furious at the thought of me crushing on a short girl, as if tall men were morally obligated to date tall women, and I had somehow betrayed their right to a tall partner. They were also pretty open about their disgust toward shorter men. I remember chatting with an online friend who had a crush on a man who seemed great, but he was shorter than her. When I told her to just go for it, she said, "Ew, how would that look?" That said, I am 1.92 meters or approximately 6 feet 3 inches, so there are not many women taller than me around, and I am not sure if it will really be a deal breaker for me until I gain that experience. Personally, I prefer women who are either short and petite or tall and lanky to the point of being awkward. However, the chances of them being taller than me and okay with dating a shorter man are basically non-existent. In my experience, most tall women are either happy to have a man who makes them feel dainty and cute or feel entitled to a tall man because they consider shorter men to be lesser. A case in point is an English woman I met online who was 1.75 meters, approximately 5 feet 7 inches, and told me I was the first man who ever made her feel small and feminine. However, given that she compared me directly to her somewhat scrawny ex, it felt a bit uncomfortable. Just like many women who make more money than their partners sometimes project their own insecurity on them, plenty of tall women project their insecurity onto shorter men, claiming it will not work because men are insecure. It is definitely a thing, but nowhere near the degree some women use to excuse their own shallowness. Story 10. I would not date a woman who is taller than me and makes a point of it to belittle me. I would not date a woman who makes more money than me and makes a point of it to belittle me. If it is not an issue for them, then I simply do not care. I am interested in who you are, not how tall you are, how much money you make, or any other superficial quality. Story 11. The only woman I have met who is taller than me is a 6'9" dominatrix who has left me unread multiple times. Story 12. I am 5 feet 9 inches tall. I have dated a woman who was 6 feet 1 inch tall, and one who was 5 feet 0 inches tall with her shoes on. The only real difference regarding the height was going out dancing. I was not tall enough to give her a twirl without letting go of her hand. Story 13. I've been discouraged by my prior experience, honestly. The common refrain is that the only reason women don't like short men is because we are insecure about it. However, when I dated a woman slightly taller than me, by about an inch, I never thought about it until she brought it up frequently. At the same time, other men often approached her right in front of me. Some men even stepped between us to talk to her. There seems to be an assumption that a relatively tall woman must be with a taller man. I won't say no outright, but I am cautious about dating a woman my height or taller again. Story 14. I am 6 feet 3 inches tall and have not met a woman taller than me. I have a girlfriend now, so I am not interested, but when I was single, I would have been open to meeting someone and seeing how it goes. I had a small fantasy of pairing up with a woman 6 feet or taller for a while. I went on a really bad date with a 6 feet 1 inch self-satisfied, inconsiderate person, and lost that desire. Story 15. Height is less of a big deal for men than it is for women. My girlfriend is only 1 inch shorter than me. I honestly don't care about her height, but she said she would have had to think twice about saying yes to me if I were shorter. Story 16. My wife is just shorter than me. I am 6 feet tall and my wife is 5 feet 10 inches. But when she wears a good pair of boots, she is taller than me. I do not see any problem with that, honestly. Most of the tall women I have seen are usually very attractive. So, if she looks good and has a good personality, I would not have any problem with it either. Story 17. I have dated women taller than I am. I would probably draw the line at having to get a ladder to kiss them. Story 18. I would feel confident if I had a girlfriend who stood out among others. I also like short girls. I am 6 feet tall, so a foot taller or shorter is fine with me. Story 19. 5 feet 6 inches, maybe 5 feet 7 inches, and I would date a girl regardless of her height. It is a non-factor except when figuring out how big a mattress I need to buy so we are both comfortable. I do not mind that. Story 20. For me, it's not exactly height. It's how well we fit together physically while cuddling. I guess having a taller and shorter person makes people fit together a bit easier. I once dated a 6'3" girl while I was 6'5" and nothing felt right. I would totally try it again. Maybe it was just her. She was a bit heavy with a slightly curvy build for her height, and I couldn't see over her head while we cuddled to watch TV. It just seems easier with women who are below 6 feet. Story 21. I suspect there is a selection issue. Men are still mostly the ones initiating relationships. I doubt most men would seriously end a relationship because their partner was shorter. However, if you showed men 1,000 women and asked which ones they would approach, they would choose fewer of the tall ones. Story 22. Honestly, I don't know. Until about a month ago, if you had asked me, I would have said I have no problem dating a woman taller than me. But I realized that every woman I have dated is shorter than me. I have dated a lot. I've had serious girlfriends and dated plenty in my 20s. Legitimately, no one has ever been taller than me. A handful have been my height, but most were shorter. I am a little above average American male height, nowhere near 6 feet. Story 23. The tallest woman I have ever been with was 6 feet 1 inch tall. Every time I think of her, I can only hear Dragon Ball Z abridged Frieza saying, "Bigger, bigger." Story 24. I am 5 feet 3 inches tall. Almost everyone I have dated has been taller, but not by a large amount. I would go out with someone much taller, though. If they do not care, I do not care. Put me in your big purse, baby, and let's go. Story 25. I don't want a woman looking down at me. I'm 6 feet tall. But I absolutely would admire her. She has long legs. Story 26. I am 5 feet 9 inches tall, and I would totally date a taller woman if we make a connection because I do not have a height preference whatsoever. 4 feet 10 inches, 5 feet 6 inches, 6 feet 6 inches, etc. It does not matter to me. Bonus points if she is a metalhead and willing to play couch cooperative games with me. Story 27. I would not be opposed to it, but I am a short guy at 5 feet 7 inches, or 170 centimeters. Most women my height or taller will not date me based on my height. When I am swiping on dating applications, I automatically swipe past any woman who is taller than me. The odds of her actually matching with me are very low, so it would be a waste of my time to try. Story 28. Honestly, I would depend on how she acts about it. If she jokes or anything about it, no. But if she genuinely isn't bothered, it wouldn't matter to me at all. Though a woman being taller than me is normally the case. Story 29. I wouldn't mind dating a woman taller than me. The only real issue is whether they would want to date a man as tall as me, if that is an issue for them. I am 5 feet 10 inches tall. Story 30. I would like to meet that young woman. She looks lovely, and I have never met a woman taller than I am. I am 6 feet 7 inches tall. Story 31. I'm not against dating taller women per se. I'm 6 feet 4 inches, so women who are taller than me are rare. Since there are so few taller women, the chances of meeting one I connect with are low. It might also be a bit awkward because we would both bump our heads on things. Story 32. Not interested. I don't need a strong person to help pull the plow after the apocalypse. I prefer small and thin women. If you prefer big and tall, there will not be as much competition. Story 33. I think there might be an arbitrary height limit for me somewhere. I do not know where because I have never had a woman taller than me interested in me. Story 34. I would have to meet a woman taller than me first. I am sure there are some, but I have yet to meet one. I do not see why I would not. Story 35. I am 6 feet 6 inches tall. Every woman I have met has been shorter than me. If I found a 6 feet 11 inches tall woman who would date me, I would do it in a heartbeat because it would be something I might never see again. Story 36. I do not care. Hot is hot regardless of height. Not many women are taller than me, and it might take me a moment to mentally adjust, but I think it would come with many advantages, such as the height of things being where we want them. Story 37. I prefer shorter and stockier women and do not like lanky ladies. Stocky women well over 180 centimeters are typically looking for someone to fight with, not to date. Story 38. Height plays virtually no factor to me. I have been with taller, shorter, or similarly tall women, and it was more about how we fit together. I absolutely would date a taller or even much taller woman than me if it was not an issue for her. I am 5 feet 10 inches tall. Story 39. I don't really care. I love holding my baby and looking into her eyes. I'm confident that if I were attracted to a woman taller than me, it wouldn't bother me at all. It's fairly rare for a woman to be taller than my 6-foot stature, but whatever. The most important thing is having a good connection and being open and free to communicate with the person I have a relationship with. I have that, and it feels great. Story 40. Height never matters to me because I do not care. Compatibility is the important thing. I have dated for looks before and found that if there is not enough in common, the relationship slowly dies. Story 41. I've only dated one woman taller than me who is also a volleyball player. I've never personally had any strange feelings about my height, so I never thought about it much. Anytime this comes up in conversation, I always mention one thing that gets a reaction. When you walk with your partner, holding hands with fingers laced, the taller person's forearm is always in front. With this particular girl, we would sometimes start walking and holding hands the wrong way and have to adjust. Story 42. I am 6 feet 5 inches tall, and I do not think I have ever met a woman taller than me. However, if I did, it would not bother me at all. Story 43. I married a woman 2 inches taller than me. It wasn't a problem. I like to take her out in platform heels to emphasize the difference, wearing coordinated outfits. Compatibility is hard. Height would be a silly thing for a make or break. Story 44. I prefer a woman who is shorter than me. That said, it is a preference, not a requirement. It would never be the deciding factor. Story 45. I do not have any problems, but with my height of 2.03 meters, there are not many women who are taller than me. The world record for women is currently 2.13 meters, just 10 centimeters more than I am. Even with this lady, the difference would not be significant. Story 46. Taller than me by a few inches? No big deal. But by a few feet? Maybe. I am 5 feet 10 inches to 5 feet 11 inches depending on who is measuring me, and it has never been an issue. I am perfectly happy with my height though. 6 feet 11 inches might be pushing it. Story 47. The vast majority of girls are shorter than me, and the people who match my height are 95% of the time men. I would probably even go higher. So I assume people my height or above are men. I have made the connection in my head that women are shorter than me. Therefore, I am more likely to find attractive a woman who is shorter than me. I do not know how to explain it better. My brain is wired to think women are short. I have lived for decades with women around me being shorter than me. Story 48. I have never dated someone taller than me. That is mostly because I am 6 feet 7 inches tall, not because I refuse to. The tallest girl I have dated was about 6 feet 1 inch. Story 49. Most of my partners have been my height or taller. I am 5 feet 4 inches though. My current partner likes to go out in heels when we are partying or on a date. I have never understood what the problem is with this. Story 50. I have an office crush on the former basketball player who is my height and still would if she were taller than me. Story 51. Come on, brother. You cannot just say, 7-foot tall volleyball player, and not mention her name. I am going to try to look for her. And if I cannot find anything, I will come back here and be upset. Story 52. I would not care about their height as long as we have the right chemistry and compatible love language. Story 53. I like them short, tall, or the same height. The overwhelming sentiment among women seems to be that they want a man taller than themselves. So when I see a taller woman, I assume she is not interested. Story 54. I have no problem with dating a taller woman. It is mostly them who have a problem dating me since I am only 173 centimeters in height. I know I am below average, and most women tend to have issues with how short I am in my country, Sweden at least. Story 55. One cannot change their genetics. It would actually be liberating to not be the odd one out for once. I still could not vanish in a sea of people, but at least I would be closer to it. I care about what she has inside her mind. Story 56. I had a really great relationship that I ruined by cheating with a much shorter girl. It was the only time I ever cheated, and it ended up being a huge mistake. Story 57. Aside from the fact that I am happily engaged to a woman shorter than me, I love being able to look down and hug her. I am also really into the whole holding her face while kissing her thing. I went on a couple of dates with a girl my height in college before we realized we wanted different things, and the one time I tried that with her, it just felt awkward. Absolutely nothing against men dating taller women. We are friends with a couple where the wife is taller. It is just a personal preference. I am not really into women with short hair either. Story 58. Tall girls are very attractive. They are also very rare in my country. I am 5 feet 9 inches and almost never see women taller than me. But when I do, I am in awe. I would date a taller girl in a heartbeat. Story 59. I do not feel comfortable dating someone significantly taller than I am. Between 5 feet 4 inches and 6 feet 0 inches is good enough for me. I am 5 feet 8 inches. Story 60. My first girlfriend was an inch taller than me, 5 feet 11 inches. We never mentioned it in conversation, not even once. Story 61. I'm 6 feet 4 inches and love taller women. I haven't met a woman taller than me, but I would probably be a bit intimidated. However, I would give it a shot. My friends sometimes tell me that short girls would like me because of my height. While I do not discriminate based on height, I almost always prefer taller women. Story 62. I'm 6 feet 3 inches tall. My girlfriend is about 5 feet 10 or 5 feet 11 inches. The tallest girl I ever dated was 6 feet 1 inch but claimed 6 feet. If I were single, I would have no problem dating someone taller than me. I would even do it for the story. Story 63. Taller, stronger, smarter, richer. I don't mind if I like her and she likes me. I'm not a fetishist. I just want to be with admirable women. Story 64. I would absolutely date a tall woman if she was curvy. I have a certain type. I am specifically attracted to women with shapely figures. If she had that figure, it would not matter if she was 7 feet or 2 feet tall. If she was tall and had the typical tall figure, very thin, then no. Story 65. I would, but there are not many. The 99th percentile for women's height is only 178 centimeters. 5 feet 10 inches. I am 187 centimeters. Story 66. In my personal experience of dating tall girls, they wear high heels that make them even taller and then complain that you are not tall enough to make them feel short. Story 67. I'm in my mid-40s. I've been married before and had numerous serious relationships besides the marriage. I'm 5 feet 11 inches tall, which feels rare by online standards. I've dated and loved both a 5 feet 1 inch girl and a 6 feet 1 inch girl. These questions are unnecessary. Anyone truly looking to connect is focused on the individual, not some arbitrary set of rules copied from someone online. Short and tall individuals both deserve all the love a partner can give. Story 68. I am 5 feet 11 inches tall, so while I am not very tall, there are not many women I see who are taller than me. I am not opposed to it. There is just a limited number of opportunities. Story 69. Many years ago, I walked past a beautiful woman's desk during my daily duties. We started flirting, and finally, I got the nerve to ask her out. She said, "Before I answer, let me show you something," and stood up. She was nearly 6 feet 7 inches tall. I asked, "What do you want to show me?" We went out for about 9 months. She was beautiful and fun, but eventually, we broke up. It was fun while it lasted. For the record, I was 5 feet 9 inches tall. Story 70. I would prefer not to, but I would do it for the right person. I am 6 feet 2 inches tall, so it is very rare that I see women who are taller than me. I have seen women my height or close to my height, but none who are actually taller than me. Story 71. I do not care. There was a girl who was easily 6 feet 5 inches tall at the bar the other night. I would have approached her, but she was not very attractive. Her figure was impressive though. Story 72. I wouldn't care, but I think it also depends on someone's total body size. I still like being with someone who is not bigger than me overall. If she is taller, I think I would just want her to be thinner than me. That is not hard to achieve. I am a chubby boy, but that is where my physical preferences lie. It is not without exceptions and not a hard rule. I have noticed I need to really fall for someone bigger than me to find them more attractive. It has happened a couple of times. Story 73. No. I am 6 feet 1 inch tall, so my height or taller is not necessary. I know I will be downvoted by some gangly people. It is okay. Story 74. I would not date a woman taller than me because I do not date women regardless of their height. I am 6 feet 4 inches tall, so finding men taller than me is not easy. Story 75. I am not making promises, but I think I would prefer to be the same height at least. Edit. This might just stem from the assumption that a woman would not be interested in me if I am not taller. I am, of course, in no way saying all women are like this. Story 76. These threads serve no purpose because men who would not date a woman taller than themselves are discouraged from posting their opinion because they know it is considered a bad opinion. May have this requirement at an unconscious level, so they are not even aware of it. Those who actually post their opinion get downvoted and learn to remain silent about it. I say this as someone who actually prefers the looks of women taller than me. Story 77. These types of questions, and I feel this applies especially to the question, why won't you date a woman who makes more money than you? But are also relevant to discussions about height. Always assume that only the man has fragile masculinity. This misses the point that many of us know that even if a taller, richer, stronger, or more skilled woman agrees to date us at first, At some point down the road, she may come to us and say, I can't do this anymore. I need a real man, and this just isn't working for me. Basically, it is not always us who cannot handle it. We are trying to spare the eventual pain and trouble of being dumped by a woman deciding she deserves a taller, richer, stronger, or handier man. Story 78. I like petite women and always have. My wife is 5 feet tall, and so was my girlfriend before her. I mentally refer to most women over 5 feet 10 inches as gigantier. Story 79. As a woman, I do not want to date a man shorter than me. I mean, an inch would not be significant, but 5 inches would. I would just feel unladylike, and my family made fun of me for being tall, so I am touchy. I am not all that tall, really. They were just jerks. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.